Thanks for joining. As always, this is a flow class. We're going to move through at I think, a reasonable pace, but we won't be doing any one particular exercise for too long of a period of time. If there's anything that trips you up, I would recommend stopping, closing your eyes, taking a couple of deep breaths, and either joining in when you figure out the flow of that particular exercise, or just take a breather, take some time to take a couple of deep breaths and then join us on the next exercise. But I want you to push yourself appropriately. So make sure everything you're doing actually just feel good. Like a stretch feels like a stretch and not like too much pulling. Let your muscles get a little tired, but try not to overdo to the point of any achiness. All right, I am going to get my timer started and we'll start standing up on our mats. Let's get our feet spread apart a little bit wider than our shoulders, and we'll point those toes out toward each of the bottom corners of the room. We're going to soften up our knees and settle our weight back toward those heels. And let's picture a plumb line, dropping our weight right down between our two heels. And then picture that same plumb line extending as a string from the crown of the head up toward the ceiling. So we have that nice counterbalance pulling us up nice and tall. Let's draw our hands down right by our sides. And we'll start with a few shoulder circles as we think about gently activating that core. We're going to draw the belly and the spine toward each other, getting a little tightening right at that waistline. We can work out some of those crunchies behind the shoulder blades that might be sitting there from whatever we've done this morning, whether it's too much or too little activity. Drop those blades to the floor. Let's take a big breath in, arms reach up and overhead. Exhale, arms out to the sides and then down by the body. One more time, arms reach up, stretch them up overhead. Let's clasp our palms and press those palms to the ceiling. Straighten the elbows out as best you can. And think about dropping those shoulders away from the ears. That's going to give us a nice stretch all the way down through those armpits, maybe even down toward that waistline, maybe even up toward those wrists. Let's keep our trunk lifted up off of that pelvis by engaging the core a little more. We'll take a side bend toward each of those top corners of the room. Let's rock it side to side, keeping the lower half of the body, everything from that belly button down nice and still as we rotate from that point right above the navel. Up and over to the other side one more time. We're going to hold there. Nice tall side bend. Let's draw the arm down on the side that we're reaching toward and maybe even reach it toward that opposite foot. That's going to lengthen out through that opposite side of the trunk. If that core is engaged, we're working our oblique muscles. Hold it there. Big breath in as we come up to the ceiling. And then exhaling, we'll take one more tall side bend to the other side. Engage those top side muscles. We're going to lower our arm down and reach those fingertips toward that heel. Hold for 3, 2, and 1. Big breath in, arms come up. That rib cage is nice and stacked over the pelvis again, and we'll bring our arms out to the sides. Hands and shoulders are going to line up as best you can. If that's a little too much of a pull through the upper body, take the hands forward just a touch. Moving from those shoulder joints, we're going to trace some circles on the walls out to either sides of our hands with those fingertips. Circle it backwards for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's circle the other direction. Take those arms forward. Circle forward for 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to stretch those fingertips away from midline, feeling that length through the front of the chest. Widen those collarbones away from the middle of the body, and we'll take one more big breath here. Exhale, arms come down, shake those shoulders out just a touch, and we'll move our feet in, lining those heels up with our sit bones. Shifting the weight forward just in front of those ankle joints, let's lift our toes. The base of the big toe, the base of the pinky, and the heels are pressed firmly into the mat. And we'll feel those arches lift up just a touch as those toes stay above the floor. Spread the toes apart. We're going to touch them down one at a time to the mat. Pinky first, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and finally that big toe pressing into the floor. Let's repeat. Lift, spread, and lower the toes. Tap them through. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. As we press that big toe firmly into the mat, we're going to shift our weight toward the balls of the feet. Keeping those big toes pressed into the floor, we're going to move our weight forward even just a touch more so we can unweight the heels. Maybe we can rise up a little taller, feel those calf muscles engage. And if we place our hands right on our midsection, as long as that weight is forward toward the front edge of our base of support, we're going to feel some core activation. Those muscles have to work to hold us nice and still. Hold here for 3, 2, and 1. We're going to lower our heels down, keeping the weight toward the balls of the feet. And then let's center our weight over those ankles again, softening up those knees, shaking them out a touch. We're going to make a quarter turn toward a lengthwise position on our mat now, and let's move to the back edge of that mat. We're going to be making our way down to our knees eventually. So if you do need more padding, remember you can always double up your mat underneath your knees if you need a little bit more. We'll take our hands right to the folds in the hips, and let's tip backwards from our hip bones. Back of the head, the middle back, and that tailbone are all lined up with each other. So we're preserving that core engagement. We're preserving that curve in our lumbar spine. We're going to find a point where those thighs start to feel a little stretch or like they're stopping us from bending forward any further. From that point, let's take our arms and reach them toward the floor. Gravity will let them hang. We can wiggle those shoulder blades around, let those arms move. Let's pause them reaching down toward the mat and squeeze the shoulder blades together behind the back. Release. Squeeze to a row and release. Let's repeat here a few times. Maybe we soften our knees up. Feel those glutes engage a little bit more as we bend the knees and send that tailbone back toward the wall. Squeeze for 3, row for 2. One more time, we're going to hold those elbows by our trunk, squeezing the blades together, straighten and bend the elbows. Let's warm up those triceps. They'll be doing some work for us as we work some planks later on in class, as we work on hands and knees later on in class. Straighten and bend for 3, for 2, and for 1. Big breath in, and exhaling, we're going to take our hands right to our hips, soften the knees up a bit further, and let's tilt that waistline down just a bit more. So that trunk is still nice and still. We're going to bring ourselves down until we're parallel to the floor with that upper body. Bend the knees as much as you need to take the slack back into the system in the back of the thighs. Moving the hands to the outsides of the thighs, we'll let those glutes work against gravity. We're going to shift our weight from foot to foot. Press the floor away with those feet. Feel the muscles and the backs of the hips pop into your hands as we take it side to side. Shift for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming right back to the middle. Keep that belly engaged as we bring our hands to the floor. And we're going to walk ourselves down to all fours. See if you can keep the toes pressed into the mat as we lower our knees down. The padding goes right underneath your shins if you need some extra. And then keeping those toes pressed into the mat, let's rock our bottoms back toward the heels, stretch out the bottoms of the feet just a touch. And then we'll bring ourselves right back up to that all fours upright position. Rock it back, take it up tall, twice more, rock, take it up. One more time, rock the bottom back to the heels. From here, we're going to turn the tops of the feet down to the floor, soles of the feet facing the ceiling. As we bring our bottoms down, we can bring our knees apart from each other just a touch. And let's walk our hands forward toward the front of the mat, working toward a child's pose type position. Stop at the point where you feel a nice, comfortable opening and stretch through those armpits. Maybe we can even lower that forehead down to the floor. Take a big breath. Exhaling, wrap those shoulder blades around the front of the body. We're going to feel a nice stretch along the back side of the rib cage, just underneath those shoulder blades. From here, let's lower our forearms to the floor, bending those elbows slightly if they're not already bent. Shift the weight forward of the forearms, and let's take our legs down to the mat. We're going to rest on our upper thighs, drawing that belly button back toward the spine to support our lower back. Holding here, let's squeeze our shoulder blades together and then press them forward. It's almost a reverse row. We get tension as we push versus tension as we squeeze, as we were doing when we were standing and rowing. Press for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. We're going to hold that pressed forward position through those blades as we inhale. Exhaling, let's make our way down to our mat. We're going to turn onto our backs, bend the knees up and line our heels up with our sit bones. Take a big breath in here, and exhaling, let's think about widening our collarbones away from the middle of the body, dropping the belly down gently toward the spine, tightening that seatbelt of muscles between the hips, and let's nod the chin gently toward the neck. We're pulling in those deep neck muscles that stabilize us as we move our head versus gravity. Let's bring our knees up one at a time to tabletop. Hold them there. If you need more support for your back, the knees come in a little bit further. If you need more support, one or both feet come back to the floor. Hold it here and let's float those arms to the ceiling. Breathe it in. As we exhale, we're going to wrap those shoulder blades forward to the ceiling and then let them rest towards the mat. Press into the ceiling, release to the mat. Press and lower, press and lower. Here's 4, 3, keep that belly engaged, 2, and 1. Floating those arms down, we're going to arc them forward, bringing our hands to trunk height, and then let's press our palms toward the mat and reach our fingertips toward the wall in front. Extend the knees, bringing those toes toward the ceiling till that point of first resistance behind the thighs. Keep that tummy engaged. We could extend our knees forward, extend those toes forward toward where the wall and ceiling meet. Letting that core work a little bit harder. Add a kickstand if you need a little more support. We're going to move into our 100 breaths, patting the hands up and down. Inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Feel free to nod the chin, lifting the head if you'd like to challenge those neck muscles a bit. And if your bone density is okay, you are welcome to curl that upper body up. If you have any issues with flexing your spine, please keep those shoulders on the mat. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. Keep it going. Remember, at any point, we could add or remove our kickstand. We could lift or lower our leg a little closer to the mat or a little bit farther away. Breathe it in. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. Flip those palms up. Press the air to the ceiling. Breathe it in. Breathe it out. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out. One more set. Breathe it in. Breathe it out. 2, 3, 4, 5. Turn those palms to face the floor, stretching our fingertips toward the wall in front. Let's bend our knees to tabletop and lower that upper body if it's been lifted. As the back of the head touches the mat, we're going to nod that chin a little closer to the neck. Let's pull the knee farthest from the screen all the way into the chest. And keeping the core engaged, we're going to press our free leg out in front of us toward the wall. Inhale, pull that leg to the center. Exhale and press. Repeat through here at your own pace with the goal of keeping that trunk and pelvis as still as you can. Press and pull for 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's bring both knees back to tabletop. Hold them here, and holding onto those kneecaps, we'll just shift our weight side to side, massaging out that lower back, massaging out that area just below those shoulder blades. Take them back to the center, big breath in. Exhaling, we'll re-engage that navel to the spine. Let's press both hands into that thigh farthest from the screen. Hold it there. As we press the hands and the thigh toward each other, we're going to feel the muscles on that side of the trunk, engaging a little bit further. We're going to tap a toe down and lift it back up. That free leg is going to drop down and up. Extend those feet a little further away from the body, farther away from the body if you want to challenge it farther. Take that leg all the way out and in. Press it to the wall, pull it back to tabletop. One more time, press, pull to tabletop, and let's switch those hands up. Opposite hand comes to that leg closest to the screen, breathing in. Exhale, keep some pressure through the hand and thighs as we engage that core a little more. And then we'll lower the toes, lift them up on that free leg. Extend that foot again, farther forward if we want to make this more challenging. Finally, pressing that foot all the way to the wall in front and pulling it back to tabletop for the biggest challenge. Twice more, press it forward, pull to tabletop. Last one, press that leg forward. We're going to lower the straight leg all the way to the mat and pull that bent knee across the body. Let your abdominals release. Get a little wiggle, a little stretch through that upper part of the thigh, that buttock, and that low back. Let's take it right back to the middle. We're going to keep that nice straight leg position by tightening up our quad. And then let's extend that opposite leg up to the ceiling, pulling into the hamstring. We can flex and point through those toes. Keeping the toes pointed, we'll engage the belly down toward the spine further. And let's take our arms up to the ceiling. Fingertips and hip bones are pressed directly in front of us. And let's take our lifted legs side to side, out and across. Keep it going. Press that straight leg nice and firm into the floor. Or maybe we hover it to make that exercise a little more challenging. Let's move to circles. Draw those circles on the ceiling with your toes, stretching that opposite leg nice and straight in front of it, whether it's hovered or on the floor. Pause at the top, and let's take it the other way. Circle for 4, for 3, for 2, and 1. Let's bring that knee into the chest, give it a nice little hug. We'll pull our opposite leg in, slide the other leg out straight, tightening up the front of that thigh, and let's take that bent knee in across the body. We'll wiggle through that upper thigh, wiggle through that lower back, pull right back to the middle, and let's extend that leg up to the ceiling, stretching our newly lifted leg. Flex and point. Try to keep those shoulder blades pressed down toward the floor as best you can. It's okay if that knee is not all the way straight. We just want to feel a nice stretch, nice opening behind the thigh. Point those toes to the ceiling. We could engage that core a little further, hover our other leg up off the floor, and let's take the arms to the ceiling. Ensure that those fingertips and those hip bones are pointed directly up to the ceiling as we take that lifted leg side to side. Feel free to slow it down a bit. I'm doing 4 reps of each. If you need to slow it down or do a couple fewer, that's okay. Focus on keeping that pelvis nice and still, and we'll move to circles. I've got 4, 3, 2, and 1. Pause at the top, take an inhale, and breathing out, we'll circle the other way for 4, for 3, 2, and 1. Let's hang on behind that thigh. We're gonna roll our shoulders back and down. Keep that core engaged and those toes stretching away from the center of the body. Let's switch our legs. Lift that one up. Hang on behind the thigh, and we'll lengthen our opposite leg almost down to the floor, just to that hover. Lift and switch. Nod that chin, lift the upper body up just a touch, maybe through the head, curling through that trunk if you're okay to do so. Switch the legs. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's pull everything to tabletop. Hang on behind those thighs. Bring that upper body down if it's been lifted, and keeping the core engaged. We're again going to extend those legs to the ceiling. We're making a nice L shape from the thighs to the toes to the thighs, and from those hip bones all the way up to the crown of the head. Point those fingertips down to the mat. Keep that belly engaged. And we're going to open our feet out to the sides, lengthening through those inner thighs. Inhale, zip those knees together, and exhale, open. Inhale together, exhale, and open. Repeat. Here's 4. Here's 3. We're working those adductors through a bigger range. And 1. Toes are up to the ceiling. Flex those feet. Turn the toes out to the sides, heels together. Keeping that core engaged. Let's soften up the knees. We're making a diamond shape from our ankles, or our heels rather, to our knees, to that pubic bone. Keeping the core engaged. Let's bend those knees a little further, bringing them toward our shoulders. Exhaling, we're going to press our feet forward to where the wall and ceiling meet, straightening the knees as best we can. Inhale, pull to frog, short diamond. Exhale, press forward. Inhale, pull. Exhale, press. Maybe we raise our arms to the ceiling. Press them forward. Here's 4, 3, last 2, and 1. Let's turn those feet parallel to each other. Knees come back to that 90-90 position. Then we're going to lower one heel to the floor and lift it back up, and switch to the other side. Add the arms. The opposite arm comes back as one heel extends forward. Switch them off at your own speed, lengthening that leg a little further out. If you want to challenge it more, switch for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's pull right back up to tabletop, point the toes. Let's pull those knees into the chest and rock everything side to side. Nice work so far. Take a big breath in and an exhale as we come right back to that neutral position. We're going to roll our shoulders back and down. Keep that core engaged as we bring our legs back to tabletop. And again, we flex those feet, pulling our toes toward our knees. Let's take our arms up to the ceiling. Shoulder blades, chin, and belly button, breastbone area drop down to the mat. Let's take both heels down and both arms back. Inhale them up to the ceiling. Keep this going. If the arm addition is a little too much, keep it legs only. Keep those arms nice and still. If moving 2 legs at the same time is too much, go back to single leg, one at a time, alternating. Let's repeat here for 8. Inhale up. Exhale, 7. Inhale up. Here's 6. 5. 4. 3. Last 2. And 1. We're going to keep our heels on the floor. Let's open those arms up back overhead. Keep the core engaged as we snow angel our arms out to the sides, down by the body, and then out to that T. Inhale up overhead. Repeat. Arms come out and down, out, up and overhead. Let's turn our palms toward each other. Reach those arms to the ceiling. We're going to bend our elbows to 90 degrees. So forearms are parallel to the floor. Let's take those forearms together. We're going to turn our palms toward our bodies and lower those toes to the floor. Let's shift those heels a little closer to our bottom. We're going to work a little bit of upper back mobility and a little bit of chest stretching before we move on to our bridges. We're gonna keep that core engaged. Let's stretch our arms overhead straight as we can with those elbows while keeping them together. They're not gonna go all the way straight. We'll hit a stopping point. Once we hit that stopping point, keep the pinkies together. We're gonna open the elbows and flip our palms to face the ceiling. Now our index fingers are gonna be touching. We're in a nice stretched open position through those shoulders and elbows and chest muscles. Drop your breastbone to the floor and we'll take our elbows together. Exhale, open the elbows, palms to the ceiling. Inhale together. Let's repeat. Exhale, open. Inhale together. Last two. Exhale, open. Inhale together. One more time. Exhale, open. Inhale together. We're going to bring those elbows up till those upper arms are perpendicular to the floor. Let's stretch those hands to the ceiling and we're going to arc our arms down to the mat now. Press those blades down, re-engage that core, and we'll rock our knees side to side for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Take those knees right back to the middle, inch the heels just a touch closer to those glutes. We'll draw the belly in and dig the heels into the floor as we lift our hips up to bridge. Breathe in at the top, exhale, bridge it down. Repeat at your own cadence. I'm going to take them up and down, repeating for 8. You take it up and down at a pace that's working for you. What I want you to focus on is driving through the heels, keeping the belly and the spine engaged and drawn toward each other, and lifting high enough through that range that we might get a little bit of length through those front of the thighs. Let's lift up twice more wherever you are, and we'll hold that second one up at the top. Keeping those hips lifted, let's go up and down on our toes. Lift and lower those heels. Try to keep the big toes down. Try to keep equal weight on both feet. It's harder than it sounds. Shift for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Press the heels into the mat, breathing in. As we exhale, we're going to pulse our hips to the ceiling. Here's 8, 7. Again, a few fewer, a few more is up to you. Here's 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it at the top, breathing in. Exhale, lengthen that trunk down to the mat, releasing those glutes once that tailbone touches the floor. Rock those knees side to side. Here's 4, here's 3, here's 2, and here's 1. Let's take those knees right back up to the center, reset the belly and spine toward each other, draw through those heels and lift up to bridge. Hold it here. We're going to take that knee closest to the screen, open it to the side and take it back to the middle. Switch to the other side. Alternate side to side, keeping those hip bones nice and still and pointing to the ceiling. Sometimes it's nice to have the heels of the hands on those hip bones and the fingertips facing up toward the ceiling. We can monitor for any changes, any asymmetric challenges that we notice. Side to side, open for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take those knees forward, arms come to the floor, take both knees out and in, out, and in, out, and in, out, and in. Last 4, 3, feel those glutes working. Last 2, and 1. Breathing in at the top, exhaling down. Again, we release those glutes at the bottom of the motion. Let's give those knees a little hug, and we'll rock our bodies side to side. Take it right back to the middle. Stir those hips in their sockets a bit, moving from those kneecaps. 1 more hug into the chest, and we'll take those feet back down to the floor. We're going to finish our bridging series with some arches. The goal is to keep those hips and that pelvis nice and stable and lifted toward the ceiling. Big breath in. Engage belly to spine as we exhale. Press to bridge and hold. Press those arms into the mat, and we're going to lift a knee up to tabletop and back down. And then the other side up and down. If you feel cramping through your hamstrings, lift those toes. Press your heels firmly into the floor. Switch them off for 8, 7, 6, 5. Last 4. You got this. 3, 2, and 1. Press those feet into the floor. Take a big breath in. Exhaling, we'll bring that body right back down to the mat. Release those hips at the bottom and rock the knees side to side. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's take everything right back to neutral. We're going to cross the leg closest to the screen over to the other knee. Press that crossed over leg to the side. Give it a nice little stretch. If you have more slack to pull out of the system, we can lift up into figure 4. Rock the body away from that crossed over leg. We'll take a breath here. And exhale. Pull in back to the center, switch it up. Opposite heel lifts up to that opposite knee. Press the cross leg out to the side. Lift up if you can. Whether we're lifted or we keep that other foot on the floor, we're going to rock away from our cross leg side. Hold for a breath. Breathe it out. Let's take it right back to the middle. Unwinding, we'll pull those knees into the chest and rock side to side. Take it back to the middle. Those feet come to the floor. Let's take our arms up to the ceiling. We're going to take our palms and press them together, clasp the fingers together, and then pull the fingertips away from each other. We're going to pull our palms and fingers away from each other, getting an isometric muscle activation through the tops of those arms. We'll feel it here. We'll feel it a little bit in the chest as well. Holding those arms nice and still. Let's bring them back just a touch, almost like we're going to bring them back toward where the wall and ceiling meet behind us. We keep that isometric pressure, pulling the hands and palms away from each other. Let's keep the belly engaged, and we're going to straighten our legs out. That belly and pelvis should be facing the ceiling. If you had a bowl of soup balanced right between those hip bones, we wouldn't spill it toward our feet. We also wouldn't let it slash toward our breastbones. Keep it nice and neutral. Keeping those arms nice and still. Let's lift and lower one leg. Lift and lower the other. Keep it going. We're working some shoulder stability, upper body stability, which challenges the core a little bit differently. Here's 4. Switch for 3. Final 2. And 1. Feet come to the floor. Open those arms up. Stretch them back overhead with a nice big inhale. Hold for the exhale. One more time. Big breath in. Exhale, drawing that belly to spine. We'll arc our arms up to the ceiling and down to the mat in front of us. Let's bend those knees up and we'll make our way over to hands and knees. Again, grab your padding for those upper shins and kneecaps if you need it. And once we're up on all fours, let's line up our wrists and shoulders, line up our knees and hips. Keeping that belly drawn toward the spine, we can roll through cat and cow. Let's curl that pubic bone toward the breastbone and then release it. Take that tailbone toward the ceiling. Curl and release. You are welcome to let that upper body go along for the ride, but I want you to try to initiate this motion through that pelvis. Makes it a little bit different from our yoga cat-cows. We'll curl and release one more time. Take that body right back to neutral, and with the upper body still, we're gonna wag our tail side to side. Take a hip to each shoulder. The belly's engaged. We're working through our oblique muscles. We should feel some work through the side we're bending toward, and maybe a little stretch through the side we're moving away from. Let's take it right back to the middle, keeping that core engaged. Let's press our shoulder blades toward the floor, widen across the back, and then release. Squeeze the blades together. Press and squeeze. Keep that pattern going. We're working a little shoulder blade push up here. The outer borders of those shoulder blades are doing the work here, and those elbows are staying nice and still. They can be a little bent, but we want to keep them bent the same amount as we go. We can take this farther if you'd like. Come up to a plank on the knees. Open those hips down toward the floor a bit. And again, we squeeze and press. If we want to make this harder, turn those toes under. Let's come up onto the toes, squeezing and pressing. Good. Repeat for 3, 2, and 1. Knees come back down. Let's move into shoulder taps. We're going to keep our shoulders nice and squared off to the floor. And let's take one hand right up to that shoulder and then switch it up. We're going to repeat here. Keep it going. Switch them for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Let's take that hand right back down to the mat and let's switch. One leg comes back, opposite arm comes forward. Switch to the other side. If you had something balanced in the small of the back, we should be able to keep it nice and still as those limbs move. We're going to alternate through here. If you want to make this harder, we come up to a plank. Legs could move. Arms could move. We could do a combination of the two. We can always stick with our hands and knees position, shifting through. One more time to each. Hands come back down, knees come down if they've been lifted. Cat and cow, curl and release. Again, curl and release. Let's take that body right back to neutral, wag the tail side to side. And coming back to all fours, let's roll our shoulder blades up, back, and down, making nice little circles. That trunk stays engaged, navel to spine. Roll the shoulders the other direction. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Staying on all fours now, we'll shift our weight away from the screen. We're gonna take our leg closest to the screen back. Same side arm reaches up. Hold if you can. It's okay if we put those fingertips down. It's also okay if the fingertips stay down. The weight shift is the hardest part initially. Pulse that back leg if you can. Good. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's take our hand down if it's been lifted. Shift our weight toward the screen and we'll repeat on our other side. We shift that weight toward the same side, hand and knee. That other leg comes back. We come up onto the fingertips. If we can, reach that arm forward. Maybe we touch it down, get ourselves a little balance. Hold it there, pulse the leg. Here's 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's take our hand back down. Let's take our knees back down. Cat and cow, curl and release. One more time, curl and release. Coming back to neutral, let's bring ourselves down to all fours. Try to keep those forearms parallel to each other if you can. If you have some shoulder tightness and need to have them next to each other, wrists next to each other, that's okay. If you need to protect your neck, save your neck. If it gets real tired, we can double the fists over and rest our forehead on them. Let's keep our knees bent and that one closest to the screen comes up and down. Keep that 90-degree angle as best you can through the knee. Take it up and down. Good. Press that leg to the ceiling. Start with the knee bent. Thigh stays still. Curl that hamstring. Straighten and bend. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Flex that foot. Pulse to the ceiling. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's bring that knee down. Shift the weight toward that leg we just worked, and we'll float the other bent knee up toward the ceiling. Lower and lift. Lower and lift. Keep that core engaged. Keep those shoulders pressed toward the floor. Let's do 2 more here. Lower and lift. Lower and lift. Hold. Thigh stays still. Straighten and bend that knee. Here's 4, 3, 2, 1. Flex the foot. Pulse to the ceiling. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Knees come down. Let's take our feet together, bring the knees apart, and press that bottom back toward the heels while we walk our hands forward. Lower that forehead, drop those armpits down to the mat, and take a big breath in. Breathing out, walk your hands toward that screen. Nice little side bend. We can take our cheeks toward that opposite heel. Breathe into that opposite side of the trunk. And exhaling, we'll walk our hands to the other side of the mat. Pause, hand over hand, bring that cheek closest to the screen over to that heel. Inhale into that side of the trunk, away from the side you're bending toward. Exhale, walk the hands forward. We're gonna take ourselves up onto our knees and come up nice and tall. Let's curl that pelvis under a little bit. We're gonna go for a little hip flexor opening here. Keeping the belly engaged, shift the weight toward the screen. We're gonna take that opposite leg up for a nice half kneeling position. Hip bones are pointed directly ahead of us. And with the hands on the hips, we're gonna curl that pelvis just a touch more, getting into that hip flexor, lengthen it out a little bit. If you need more, that front knee translates slightly forward. That'll bring the whole body forward, getting us into a little bit more of a stretch. Let's take the arm on the back leg side up to the ceiling. Holding here, we should get a nice stretch through the side of the trunk. Just a little stretch. We could add to it by side bending if you have a little more slack to take out. Hold for a breath. Breathing out, that arm comes down, and let's switch our sides. Hands come back to the hip. Bring that other knee forward for that half kneeling position. Curl the pelvis until we feel that nice stretch through our hip flexor on that back leg. Adding more if you'd like. I don't have much more room to move here. We can take that front knee forward just a touch. Let's open that other arm up to the ceiling, holding here. Keeping the belly engaged toward the spine, we should get a nice stretch through that upper part of the pelvis and the lower part of the abdomen. We can add to it if you have a little more room to move by taking a side bend toward the screen. Hold for a breath here. Exhaling, we'll come up nice and tall. Let's take ourselves down to our mat. We're gonna sit nice and tall, trunk is nice and upright. We're gonna line our heels up with our sit bones. Keeping the core engaged, take the hands right to the outsides of the thighs. Press the hands and the knees toward each other. Open up those elbows, straighten out those elbows a bit until that trunk is leaned back enough that we feel some activation through that abdomen. We're gonna hold here. Maybe we take our hands and lift them away from our legs. We should lift them up if we can. Let's lift them up and see if we can keep our arms parallel to our thighs. If we need to take some pressure off, those arms come up till they're parallel to the ground. Wherever we are, we're gonna open an arm out to the side, take it back to the starting position, and switch. If our hands are parallel to the floor, we're opening. Let's follow that arm with our upper body. Follow it with the breastbone. Keep it going. If those arms are up on that oblique angle, follow them down toward the floor. See if you can touch your fingertips to the mat. Switch it up, twice more on each side. Last one on each, side to side. Open, close them up. We're gonna take our hands to our shins, pull ourselves up nice and tall, roll those shoulder blades back and down as we maintain that nice upright trunk position. Let's take our hands back behind us, fingertips point toward the bottoms or out to the sides. Elbows are straight, we can squeeze those blades together. And let's inch that rear end forward a little bit. Find the point where we feel that nice stretch through the front of the arms and that chest. Holding there, we're gonna take our breastbone and arc it up toward the ceiling. Open that chest up a little more. Again, if we have a little more slack to take out of the system, we can inch our heels a little closer to our bottoms and lift up toward reverse tabletop. This lift is optional. We're gonna hold wherever we are for 2 deep breaths. Inhale, breathe it out. One more time, big breath in, exhale. Let's take that bottom down, shake those wrists out a bit, and we're gonna make our way up to tall kneeling facing our screen. Again, get that padding under your knees. If you need it, double that mat up. With the hands on the hips, we're gonna extend one leg out to the side. Take it forward a little bit if you tend to cramp through your hip. We're gonna keep that belly engaged, bring the arms out to the side, hold it here, inhale. As we exhale, let's take our tailbone back and the trunk forward. Feel that inner thigh open up. Come up nice and tall, breathing in. Exhale one more time, hinge it forward. Inhale up. Keep that trunk engaged now as we side bend toward our bent leg, lifting the other toes up if we can. We'll take it up and over, switch to the other side. One more time, side bend. We're gonna reach and hold it here. Let's pulse that straight leg for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take that body up and over, reach toward the wall. We'll come up nice and tall, hands come right back to the hips. Keep that core active as we extend our other leg out. Again, moving it forward to avoid that cramp in the thigh. Big breath in, arms come out to the side. And exhaling, let's hinge, trunk forward, body, tailbone back. Take it up nice and tall. One more time, hinge it forward, tailbone back, crown of the head toward the screen. Inhale and up, keeping the core engaged. We side bend toward that bent knee. Lift that leg if we can. And take it over to the other side. One more time, side bend, reach, pulse that leg for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come up nice and tall. Let's stretch over to that other side. We'll come up nice and tall again. Knees are down on the mat. Roll the blades back. We'll flip our palms to face the screen. Let's pulse those blades and the palms back for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Breathe it in. Exhale, arms down, and let's make our way down onto our side. Rest on that side. Knees are bent, heels are lined up with that bottom. Hand presses into the floor, top hand. Lift the knees up and down for 4, for 3, for 2, and 1. Knees come down, feet lift for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hold the feet up there. Top knee comes up and down. 4, 3, 2, Hold it up there. Top knee straightens and bends. Bottom knee straightens and bends. One more time through. Good. Toes come together. Bring the knees together. Bring those toes down. Straight clamshell. Top knee up and down for 4. For 3. For 2. For 1. Knee comes to hip height. Bottom foot stays still. Top foot comes up to meet that top one, that top knee. Up and down fire hydrants. Here's 4. 3. 2. And 1. Back to hip height. Hinge the knee forward. Press it back. Forward and back. Twice more. Forward. Press it back. Bring that top knee forward to line up with the bottom. Top bottom leg straightens out. Top toes come to the bottom knee. Down and up with that top knee for 4. For 3. For 2. For 1. Straighten that top leg out. Line it up with the body. Hold it in pulse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bottom leg comes up and down. Last set on this side. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take everything down. Bend those knees up. Pat out that hip. All right, let's switch it up and over. Working through our other side. Rest on that bottom arm. Knees are bent. Top hand presses into the floor and we engage that core. Knees alone lift up and down. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Knees come down, feet come up and down together. 3, 2, hold them up there, top knee up and down. 3, 2, hold it up there. Straighten the top knee, bend it up, straighten the bottom knee. One more time each. And bottom. Touch those toes together. Knees come down, feet come down. Keep those feet together, straight up and down clamshell. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's lift up that knee to hip height. Lift up the foot to hip height for fire hydrants. 4, 3, waistline stays still. Here's 2. Back to hip height, swing that knee forward. Press it back. Swing and press. Twice more. Swing it forward. Press it back, keep that glute engaged. Bring that knee forward to match the other leg. We'll straighten out our bottom leg and touch the toes down. Top knee comes down and up. Here's 4. We're in the home stretch. Here's 3. Here's 2. Here's 1. Straighten that top leg out. Line it up with the bottom leg. Pulse. Here's 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bottom leg comes up and down. Last 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Legs come down. Bend those knees up. Pat out the hip. Awesome job. Let's turn to our backs. We're going to bend up those knees. Give them a nice little hug into the chest. Let's stir those hips in the socket. Let's stir them the other way. Rock that body side to side, knees pulled in close. Coming right back to the middle, we'll take our feet down. We'll turn over to hands and knees. And as we think about making our way back up to our feet, let's curl through cat, release to cow. Good, one more time. Curl to cat, release to cow. Turn those toes under. We're gonna press ourselves back to a flat foot position. Once the weight's over the front of the ankles, we can stand up nice and tall. All right, we'll finish up with a quick balancing check. Find something to hold on to if you need it. We'll settle our weight in front of those ankle joints. Lift up those toes, spread them apart. We'll take them down one at a time. Press the big toes into the floor. Hands come right to the waistline, shift it side to side. Park your weight over one foot. Float yourself up to single leg balance, hold. If you want to take it further, we could shift toward the ball of the foot. If you want to take it further, take it up and down on the toes. Here's 3, 2, 1. Take it down, hold that balance here for 3. Fight for it, here's 2. And 1, take that foot down, shift the weight to the other side. Once you're over that leg, lift up to single leg balance. Challenge it further if you'd like by shifting forward. Hold it at the balls of the feet or take it up and down. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hold it up there for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Feet come down. Let's bring them apart. Shake out those knees. Roll those shoulders back. Engage that core again as our fingertips reach to the floor. And we'll close with a big breath in. Palms come together and feet come together. Exhaling into our center. Well, we did it. Nice work, everybody. Always good to see you and looking forward to seeing you next time.